There is a room right above the Dior boutique, no name, no sign, no Dior anything, and it has only Dior exotics. The price that these farmers are getting paid for this python. Sorry guys, I was just testing out my new ring light. If it's too bright, let me know. There's all these settings. It's like extremely large compared to the original. Just wanted to see what the visuals were like. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Jessica and I created Dalda by J. I'm feeling sassy today. So in today's video, we are going to discuss a topic that I never see anyone really talk about on YouTube, and that is the secret world of exotic bags. So I was inspired by this video because a friend of mine reached out to me and she was like, hey, did you know you can get a custom Himalayan crocodile Lady Dior bag made for you, special order by Dior, and no one's talking about this. It's the same look as the Hermes Himalayan Birkin, but it is the Lady Dior style. And I was like, wow, that is so interesting. So of course it prompted me to do a deep dive. So in today's investigative report, we're going to be discussing the exotic bags industry. We're going to discuss the creme de la creme of exotic bags, that is the Hermes Birkin. We are going to discuss certain companies that do not do exotics anymore and why, such as Chanel. We are going to discuss a little bit of Fendi and Dior, and then some fun facts sprinkled in between, and also the industry as a whole. So if you're here for it, give the video a thumbs up, and without further ado, let's get to it. So by the way, if this ring light is too bright, please let me know. I feel like the glasses are looking yellow on. It's weird. It's weird. The light is so bright. For full body fashion videos, and I think this could be a good solution. So anyways, the glasses might be distracting with the massive light, so I will only put them on once again as I am stating the facts as I did in my counterfeit bags video. So the luxury exotics industry is very interesting to me. I have been more exposed to it lately. When I was in Milan, for example, this summer, I went to the Fendi flagship store, and there were some Middle Eastern ladies in there dressed head to toe, fabulous, beautiful shoes, bags, abaya, everything. They're in this side little room, and they had all of these luxury bags pulled out, and they were just Fendi peekaboos in every exotic, beautiful color you could imagine. And I was like, wow, I can only imagine the price. So let's find out, what is the price? I think these bags start at about $20,000 all the way up to $40,000 US for a Fendi peekaboo, which is very interesting. So this is for the alligator and crocodile variety. So what I have learned across my research on this topic is crocodile is the king of the exotic leathers. It is the creme de la creme. Hermes uses two types of crocodile. Let me put the glasses on for this. I have my notes. Hermes distinguishes between Posaurus crocodile, sourced mainly in Australia, and Niloticus crocodile, originating in Zimbabwe. Posaurus crocodile is the most valuable among Hermes exotic skins, according to a website I came across called Sac Lab. They talk about a lot of handbag industry things, fashion, that sort of thing. So the distinguishing factor between these two different crocodiles, which Hermes uses, the Niloticus crocodile can be identified through the dot next to the Hermes stamp. So if you see a Birkin bag and it has a dot and it is a crocodile finish, and that is next to the brand name, then you know it is the Niloticus. The Posaurus crocodile is marked by a, I don't know what to call it, a hat, an asterisk. What is the name for the little hat? It's a hat, okay? We're gonna call it a hat. That is beside the stamp for the Posaurus, the creme de la creme, the more expensive. It doesn't exactly tell me why. I think it might be the cost of manufacturing these in Australia versus Zimbabwe. So it's also really interesting with this crocodile material, the creme de la creme. This is glazed by hand with something called the agate, those trending crystal stones that you see at, say, Anthropologie, HomeSense, places like that. They have coasters, cutting boards, things like that. So the artisans actually hand buff the crocodile skin to be shining without any sort of glaze or lacquer. So the crocodile you see that has that shining finish, that is because it has been hand buffed, almost sanded with a stone. So interesting. There was something I read about the difference between crocodile and alligator. I think the crocodile had larger scales with visible pores, and the alligator had more flat, slightly smaller scales. So really interesting. Now, something to note as well with Hermes, even though we're coming out of the pandemic, it seems like the demand for luxury goods is just not going anywhere at all. So according to this article in the Financial Times, the luxury goods sector has increased revenue 4% in 2021 compared to regular pre-pandemic spending. That means that scratch 2020, that was a write-off, right? Luxury sales were kind of down everywhere in the world, lockdowns, etc. But the luxury spending worldwide has increased globally 4% beyond pre-pandemic levels. So it is still growing. In 2021, most of the spending was from the US and China. And the European market and the Japanese market have been lower due to the fact that there has been much less tourism due to lockdowns. A lot of very wealthy Chinese and American shoppers that have, would have routinely gone and done all their shopping in Paris, Monaco, Milan, etc. They were doing more local shopping in their local markets because of the worldwide lockdowns. We would have seen a different distribution of the spending and the wealth if we hadn't had the pandemic. But overall, the industry is still up. And I can foresee that, as the situation stabilizes over 2022, please do not give us another 17th wave of the panorama, as people on YouTube are calling it. We can't say the P word because we get demonetized. So hopefully we do not have another wave of this and everything can normalize and we can go back to living our best lives. Luckily I'm fortunate, I'm in the Middle East, so it's very open here, and it has been very open since I moved here a year ago, which is phenomenal and is part of why I moved here. Going back into our topic here, with the luxury bags, this is very interesting. I noticed that there is obviously Hermes, the creme de la creme, the crocodile Birkins. These start retail at $58,000 US for one. On the secondary market, they sell for 100 to 150K plus. We all know the Himalayan Birkin, the famous mama, $350,000 US sold at Christie's auction. That is the going rate for these type of bags. Really crazy. And they are so sought after. The alligator skin is actually not naturally like that. They dye it. As my friend stated in the beginning of the video that inspired this video, you can get a Himalayan Lady Dior special order if it is not in the store, and Dior will make that for you for about $30-something thousand. So Dior does exotics as well, not just Hermes, and they actually have a special exotics floor in Dior. Dubai Mall level 2, and recently renovating the second level of Dubai Mall where Dior is. They used to have a very nice couture atelier there. I stumbled in one time. I just moved to Dubai and I was like, whoa, where am I? Like, I wanted to vlog, but I just felt like I was like out of place and I wasn't really doing my shopping vlogs yet, and I was nervous and yada yada. So right next to where the atelier used to be, there is now a room. It might have always been there. There is a room right above the Dior boutique. No name, no sign, no Dior anything, and it has only Dior exotics. And I wanted to go in there and vlog a week ago. I went up there, I had my camera out, and as soon as I pulled my camera out, the security guard, there was a curtain closed. Normally if you walk by, the room is like the curtain's only half closed or it's open. This time the curtain was closed. As soon as I pulled my camera out, the security guard looks like this and like glares at me. And in Dubai, the thing is, if you film someone without their consent, technically, like if you're really filming them versus just them passing by, you can get like sued or put in jail. Technically, like it's not entirely legal. So I didn't know who was in the store at the time, and maybe that's why he glared at me. There's someone in the store, they don't want to be filmed, seen shopping, etc. So I had to respect that right? I had to respect that rule. So unfortunately, I could not get footage. They tend to really do their exotics in the Lady Dior. I haven't actually noticed in recent years anyway, the exotic bags being made in any other type. The Lady Dior seems to be the most famous one. I think they start at about $8,600 and they go up to like $30-something thousand. So I tried one on actually in Canada. I was like, oh, what is this? This is pretty, this is nice, let's try it on. It was actually a lizard skin. It wasn't even crocodile or alligator or anything, and it was $36,000. I was like, Dior, are you joking me? This is like ridiculous, because it had crystal detailing. I'll give it that. It had crystal detailing, but I'm sorry. The way the hierarchy works with exotics, it goes like alligator, and then it goes ostrich, and then it goes python and lizard. And the weird thing as well, I think it was called on Purse Bop or one of these fashion websites, They're saying that the resale value of the exotic Dior handbags really doesn't hold its value. They're 50% less typically. And I noticed this. I went on a couple of different resale websites, Vestiaire Collective. They had a number of exotic leather Lady Diors, and they all were like, some of them were 4,000, some of them were 8,000. I mean, keep in mind, you are paying for a used bag. There's going to be signs of wear and tear. And especially with something like python or lizard, the scales could lift and the scales could be coming up. So that's something to note as well. If you are buying pre-loved exotics, that could be something where the scales are kind of coming up. Obviously, something like crocodile is very robust. Ostrich is more smooth. It just has those kind of round demarcations. But I thought that was kind of interesting. I wonder though, why is it that Hermes, these Birkins, people can sell so much more for them on the resale, but the Dior ones basically, as soon as you drive them off the lot, just like a car essentially, they go down so much. It doesn't really make sense to me. It's so weird. I think part of it is maybe the scarcity. For example, in Vancouver, when I went to try on that Dior bag, that was just in the Vancouver flagship boutique, Vancouver, Canada. Canada, you know, great country, great place, but it's not like I'm in the middle of Paris. It's not like I'm in Dubai and they have exotic bags there. You know what I mean? It's not like it's so exclusive. As Hermes apparently releases roughly 3,000, maybe a couple hundred more. This figure was from 2018, this article I read. 3,000 exotic bags as a company per year as of 2018. It's probably increased a little bit, but Dior is probably making much more of these. So because of it, it's the exclusivity, you know, billions of people on the planet, millions of rich people, and only 3,000 exotics. That's going to make the price go up, 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 baby, to the sky. Really interesting. Don't get me wrong. I think that the crocodile Birkins, those are just gorgeous. I think that the regular leather Birkins, I think those are nice. I don't particularly have a strong inclination. I'm not really trying to chase a Birkin. You know, if I saw one, if I was given one, great. But I'm not really like, it doesn't make my heart sing. Although when I see the crocodile ones, those are delectable. Those are delicious. Those are beautiful, 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 beautiful in those colors. Oh my goodness. However, you know, with the luxury industry, there is a lot of ethics in question, of course. Yes, leather isn't necessarily the best either. And I know that a lot of the half leathers and very supple lamb leathers that people love so much are usually taken from animals that are killed prematurely before, you know, they're even really ready to be used for meat production. They still use them for, you know, veal and such. But a lot of these very supple, luxurious leathers that many of us love so much in the luxury community aren't really sourced from the most ethical means either. However, with the reptilian industry, I suppose you would call it, the exotics, you know, all these pythons, alligators, whatnot, ostrich, they are still farmed. They are still kind of bred for this industry. I'm not sure if they sell the alligator meat. I didn't really see anything about it. I'm not sure what happens to the animal after it's discarded or whatever. At least with cows, you know, mostly it is sold into meat production. However, you know, humane or inhumane at the stage of its life, it is unfortunately deceased for the sake of the goods. The alligators are solely bred for the leather production, as well as the snakes and the ostrich and the lizards, you know. And Hermes, I'm reading, is expanding to have the largest crocodile farm in Australia. Their plans are for, as of 2022, they're going to have the largest crocodile farm in Australia. And unfortunately, when you research these things, what comes up? PETA, Greenpeace. And it's like, once you see it, you can't unsee it. So I try not to watch any videos. It's just very disturbing what happens to the animals. I don't want to get into it. You know, listen, I'm wearing Saint Laurent Make heels as I film this, okay? Because I was feeling fabulous. So I'm not one to say I'm on my high horse about ethics and animal welfare at the moment in my life, in my fashion journey, right? But some of the things you read about that happens with these, it's a little bit like, it's such a beautiful bag, but it's such an ugly trade as well, right? So that's why we're seeing things like vegan leather on the rise, although I just don't necessarily agree with paying the same price for a mushroom. I don't know. I just don't necessarily see it. I understand there's a designer name behind it and there's creativity behind it, but with the vegan leathers, I'm torn because the prices aren't really going down that much from certain designers that are using these vegan leathers, and they're still charging a premium, right? Versus where the exotics, you know, it's an expensive industry. And I saw an interesting infographic here. So there was a 64-page report by IUCN. This also is in partnership with Kering, which owns a lot of luxury brands. And this is called Assessment of Python Breeding Farms Supplying the International High-End Leather Industry. Now, because Kering is partly funding this, some things might have been slightly, you know, elevated, with such as, you know, how hygienic the conditions were, etc. Although this report did say that there is still a need to examine all of the wastewater and the confinement of the animals, because it is a disease issue, as we've seen you know, what happens when animals are unsanitarily kept together in certain conditions, right? So this is an issue for potential virus outbreaks, is this industry as well as, you know, meat and all of this. This is nothing different. So they have this figure here, and it says the estimated income for 400 grown pythons times 7 kilograms mean mass at sale. So this is actually crazy. The price that these farmers are getting paid for this python, $13.2 US dollars, $13.20 US dollars per kilogram. So on 400 pythons, they make $36,960 US dollars as income. Their expenditure on raising these 400 pythons, you know, raising them, feeding them, housing them, all of this is $13,880. And this is over the course of, it takes them 26 weeks to raise these pythons. So it's half a year basically to raise these snakes. And on a 1 kilogram of essentially python that they're buying, the hide, they're getting $13. But the designer prices indicate they are making much more than $13 per kilogram. The average purse you buy is not 1 kilogram. It's usually less than that. You know, maybe it's 3/4 of a kilogram for certain bags with leather and all of that. So I just thought that was so interesting. You know, the prices, you know, looking at the commodity chains and seeing what the companies and the suppliers are actually getting paid and what the companies are charging. And it really makes me wonder, information on the Hermes crocodiles and how much, you know, the farms are costing and how much it costs the company versus how they're charging $58,000 for a bag. You know, it does apparently take almost 3 to 4 animals in some cases to make a Birkin 30 with the crocodile. So, I mean, that's gonna have some costs, but what? Maybe a couple $100, maybe $1,000, and that's just crazy to me. I mean, there is the expenditures as well, but this industry is really just charging so much. Chanel discontinued doing exotics in 2019, as well as Victoria Beckham, Mulberry, and Diane von Furstenberg have banned exotic skins from the brand. So really interesting. In Dubai, it's actually the first place in my life I've noticed regularly I see exotic Chanel classic flaps, and I'm always like, oh, that's weird. Is that a Dubai exclusive? Because I've never seen that before. No, people just must have bought them here before very readily, accessibly, and now, you know, they aren't doing them. So it's either people are buying them on the resale market, or they've had them from before. And I find it interesting, the rise of interest in exotic bags. You can't just go into Hermes and say, I want a crocodile Birkin. No, you can't. In some countries as well, you know, Gucci makes exotics, beautiful exotics. They have them on display here in Dubai, but I don't know if you could go into a shop in a smaller city that has a Gucci boutique and find a crocodile bag. I don't know. If you wanted one, would it be there? I'm not sure. So I think as well, it really depends on where you're living. And this is also what's fueling as people's designer tastes get more expensive and people find, okay, well, the Birkin is a hard bag for me to get. I don't want to play the game. I'm going to go into exotics instead, maybe, perhaps, right? You know, people with money, but don't necessarily want to do the runaround, fly to Paris, build the purchase history. They want a really special bag. They might be looking at getting an exotic Dior bag, an exotic Chanel bag on the resale market, and the resale market has really been booming lately. I'm noticing a lot of YouTubers talking about this, and I think it's very interesting. I think it's also, you know, a good thing. It's sustainable. They're not creating new products. They're buying products that are pre-loved, and they're getting a new home and all of that. I mean, there are certain authenticity concerns with some of them. Some people do get scammed every once in a while, so you have to be very careful when you shop on the resale market as well. It is not flawless. There's, you know, a lot of scammers out there. Sophie Showhead just did a video on this as well. Someone wrote into her how they bought a Louis Vuitton bandolier or keepall, and the girl was sent a chocolate bar. Like, insanity. So you really have to do your research with the resale market. But it's really interesting. This luxury exotic market is actually expanding. I remember being in Louis Vuitton probably like 6 months ago, sometime in the summer, and I was just looking at bags and I was like, oh wow, they have some really beautiful Louis Vuitton twist bags. This bag used to be on my radar, but I'm not a huge fan of the Saffiano leather situation. And now I've just seen that Super Jacob did a video how Louis Vuitton had to pay a $1 million lawsuit settlement after 7 years because the original designer of the Louis Vuitton twist lock mechanism was not paid for her design originally that she created, I think in the 80s or 90s, and Louis Vuitton only released it 7 years ago. And so she was in a lawsuit for 7 years with Louis Vuitton trying to get paid her original fee. They had the design on file, they used it, and then they decided she's not getting paid, and she was in legal battle for 7 years. She got $1 million, so good for her, good on her. Now I kind of have a little bit of a sour taste in my mouth. Once learning this about Louis Vuitton, also the fact that the twist bag is beautiful, but I don't really love the Saffiano really thick leather they've been using. Pay your designer, you're a billion-dollar company. Louis Vuitton revenue in the last year apparently was 17 billion euros in 2021, was a record year for Louis Vuitton. Pay your designer. That's all I gotta say. You know what I mean? I mean, she did eventually, but why do you need to make her wait 7 years? Like, come on. Anyways, back to the exotics. That was my tangent about my feelings now towards the twist bag. The Louis Vuitton exotics, they do beautiful exotics. They do the Capuchins bag. They do also the twist bag. And I went and viewed this bag. I tried it on. It was beautiful, but it was about this small. Like, it was this small. It was so small. And I was like, oh, okay, what's the price? I didn't realize that they did real exotics. I thought that it was embossed leather. Croc embossed leather is very popular, much more affordable. Saint Laurent does it all the time. I think it's a beautiful look. Balenciaga does it as well. It's just much more affordable. So they had this Louis Vuitton twist bag, and it was, I think, 84,000 dirham or something. It was just crazy. I calculated it was either 26,000 or 36,000 Canadian dollars for this tiny little metallic pink twist bag with the gold accent. I'm just like, oh my Jesus. It was really nice, but you know, it's crazy. And now Louis Vuitton is apparently, I saw an article in Vogue Business, and Louis Vuitton has just acquired 2 new ateliers. They're planning to create 1,000 new jobs by 2024 to cater to ultra luxury bags and exotic bags, because they see this as an industry that is going to keep on growing and expanding for their brand. And there are clients in the US, Europe, and China that have big budgets and want these products. So that's really, really interesting. This is a recent article that came out, and Louis Vuitton has acquired it was a Benedictine 11th century monastery in Vendôme in France. And they are going to house the Abbaye atelier there. Abbaye, sorry, I'm butchering the name. And that is going to be one of their new ateliers to create some of their ultra luxury bags. So for those of you who have been saying that Louis Vuitton is getting a little bit boring lately, I've said the same thing about a year ago. I was a little bit bored with some of the styles. You know, I'm really interested to see now with this new acquiring of 2 new ateliers. The other atelier is the Oratoire atelier, and Louis Vuitton has described this as the next generation of ateliers because they are more modern. So really, really interesting to see, you know, the trickle down that will happen. Obviously, these ateliers are going to influence new bag designs from, you know, not just the couture clients, the high-end super VVIP clients. This will trickle down, I hope, into their regular line and have a little bit of something different going on, because I really haven't been that intrigued by their bags in a while. So really interesting, you know, this world of exotic luxury. Chanel isn't doing it anymore. Fendi does it. Yeah, I think that's it for the video, guys. What do you think of this topic? Are exotics something that you aspire to own? Do you like them? Are you against them? Really, really interesting. I never see anyone really talking about this on YouTube. I would love to know your thoughts, what you think about this topic. If you are new here and you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing so we can see each other again. If you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much. I love you, and we'll see you next time. Bye! And Niloticus crocodile originated, oh my god. Oh my gosh, when you have so many notes, you just can't cope. Blah, 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 blah.